Shreya Vahora's joining us, and we're going to talk about healthy living. Huge global brands like the Ritz-Carlton Four Seasons works with Shreya and her firm based out of London, and she wants to focus on healthy living, what it takes to live somewhere that makes you feel young, youthful, and has longevity. Today, we're going to talk about, do you call it a bathroom or a laboratory? What do you guys call it in the UK?
Bathroom.
Oh, it is. Okay. I wasn't sure. I don't know. Okay. But bathrooms do look different in different parts of the world. You know, you go to a bathroom in Japan, it's going to look radically different than a bathroom, say, in Chicago. Or, I mean, there are different things in the bathroom, but let's talk about just the basic bathroom. What is not making us healthy in our bathroom?
Okay, so there's a few different things we're going to talk about here. So the first one is, you need to make sure your bathroom has a really good ventilation system. So actually one of the big things is, first thing is we all love a good, nice hot shower. We have a nice big hot shower, and you know when you have the hot shower and then the steam comes rolling all the way out, and then
Yes.
you might think, and then we often close the door. That's like the worst thing you could possibly ever do.
Why? It's the best. Why? I like it, steamy.
Yeah, you want to steam me, but then after your shower,
Oh,
you
you
got
got
to
to keep it open.
You got to keep it open. And a lot of people close the door. And then, you know, when you go back in and you can see that your towel is still wet 4 hours later, and you might have a little like humidity on the side of the, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I got it. I got it.
So that's the worst thing you could possibly ever do, because what you're doing is you've got humidity and moisture that's building up, and you're going to have mold. And you know, when you like, if you ever go to like old, not so great hotels, or if you ever rented a flat and you see those little black things on the side.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe in the corner. And we
Yeah.
just think a bit of dirt. You don't want it.
It's not dirty?
That's not dirty, it's mold, and you really don't want mold. Mold has linked with so many issues, and actually mold is one of the reasons why I got into healthy living, because healthy homes, because I was really unwell from mold. And I ignored it because I didn't think it was a problem. And then you don't know. And so this is the one thing that I say is like, make sure, have the hot shower, but make sure the door is open afterwards, and make sure you have a good ventilation system, like so you have no moisture. And if you
Okay,
see any of
let's talk about this for a second, because I'm hearing this. And by the way, when you say mold, we hear this term black mold because it is the color of black, right? That's what it is. And
yeah,
homes and
actually a lot of
go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, but a lot of the mold, when you start seeing mold, that's actually a bit too late, because a lot of mold is actually invisible to our eyes. We can't see it.
Mm. And a lot of even newer developments, like for example in Dubai, they suffer from black mold, not just in the shower, but in the ventilation, because that humidity of what you're talking about goes up and it stays up there. It doesn't dissipate, and mold grows inside the ventilation. And that's super serious because then it blows throughout the entire home, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's like really, really bad. And you'll find that a lot of the problems in anywhere that has humidity and heat, because of the AC system. So the system's not running properly and they don't have good, it becomes a problem. But it's fixable. It's just something to be aware of.
Well, I know it's fixable, but the bathroom is probably one of the biggest, I would say it's the starting place throughout the
Yeah.
home is the bathroom, and the bathroom is what brings it throughout the entire house. How can we test to see if we do have mold or black mold as an
You,
issue?
you can get Kirsty, you can get someone to come in and do a test. So what I'd say to people is, if you suspect and you can see mold, you really got to get an expert in to come in and do it. And what they'll do is they'll do a surface-based test and an air-based test to check, and then they can see what species of mold there are, to actually see which are the deadly ones and what the layers are. So now if you just wanted to test it, so for example, I know people who sometimes, if they're just renting a house or buying a home and you just want to cross-check, you don't necessarily see mold, but you just want to make sure, you can just get testing kits off online, and you can do air tests or surface tests yourself. If they came back with anything, I would then say get an expert involved, to help you really
You just
navigate,
said something
because
really
you figure
serious.
out what.
Trey, you said the deadly ones. Are you telling me that mold can
Yeah,
be deadly?
yeah, it can be really bad, really deadly for your health, because it compromises your immune system. It causes massive inflammation in your body. It can cause you to have kidney issues, respiratory issues, as well, all kinds of different things. And it depends on the spectrum where, right? So, and how easy you are. But someone who's got a compromised immune system, so maybe they have autoimmune disease, or maybe they have another chronic condition, or maybe they're recovering from some kind of illness. So then have mold on top of that, that can be devastating for a body.
And mold can actually be a trigger for all this also. So if you, for some reason, think, I don't understand why I have brain fog or I feel weak, lethargic, I can't sleep properly, and everything seems to be right, where you're eating right, you're getting out enough, you're going to the gym, it actually might be your bathroom that's making you sick.
Yeah, and that is what happened to me.
How did it
That
happen
is
to you?
it was my bathroom and also the wall. So I think 2 layers. So in my flat that I was staying in, the back wall, we had a massive leak from the bathroom. And we didn't really think about it. The landlord didn't really think about it. They fixed it, but they didn't cut out the plasterboard. They didn't do all the layers. They fixed the surface of it. So it looked like I had no mold. Everything was nicely and freshly painted, but it wasn't. And so I had brain fog, fatigue. I was getting ill all the time. I had a bunch of other problems as well. And I couldn't figure it out. And doctors couldn't tell me what it was because this was over 10 years ago. So mold wasn't as big of an issue, big as a thing in London. And it was actually a podcast I was listening to. It was actually a Dave Asprey podcast I was listening to where someone actually talked about mold. And I was like, literally every single symptom on there was stuff that I had. And so I had to go and figure out how to fix it because there wasn't as much knowledge as there is now in the UK.
Think about then kids' bathrooms then too. Most of us don't even think about that because, hey, our kids in there, they're fine. But if you get a home that was previously lived in by someone else, or you renting it, you don't know the condition of that. So you definitely want to make sure your kids' bathrooms are tested also.
Yeah. You want to test it. I would test personally. So if I was going in and moving into a flat or anything and it looked great or a house, I would test, where the plant equipment is. I would just do a quick test, the cheap test for now. I would check with the bathrooms. I would check where the plant equipment is. I would check my bedrooms because that's going to be where we're going to be sleeping. I would check those kind of areas. And if I noticed anything on them, then I would then get an expert involved and I would do deeper analysis and testing. But I think mold, so in the UK and in certain other places in the world, asbestos is a really big thing and you have to do asbestos checks now before it's part of like regulation. I think mold should be part of that
I
regulation
think
as
you're
well.
right. I think you're right. Okay, I want to talk about 4 things when it comes to our bathroom, okay? The first one is cleaners, the things we clean our bathrooms with. What do you think? Should we just get the standard stuff that has chemicals in it, or what do you do?
No. So you wanna be as natural and clean as possible. You want to avoid anything that says antibacterial or any of this kind of cleaning stuff because they are full of chemicals in them that are actually causing us to have hormonal problems. So women, the massive endocrine disruption, which are for men and for women, are actually from our cleaning detergents. And you can smell it. When you go into a space and you can just smell that bleach and you just kind of like it hurts your throat, it itches
Yeah,
your eyes. It shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be in there. And you're just thinking of this continuous exposure to us is really bad. So you want to go as natural as possible. So there are a lot of companies that do natural clean stuff, which is really, or just plain old vinegar. It's a good
plain old
option.
vinegar. Okay, so we go with cleaning materials. Next is our towels. Should we care about how we dry ourselves and the towels we use?
Yeah. So again, avoid the synthetic ones, avoid the ones that are made from plastic, go natural fibers, have organic cotton. It feels nicer on your body as well. It's nice and soft.
It is nice and soft, but the synthetic ones are so inexpensive. I
No, but when you think about the long-term exposure on your health and let's start adding your bills up and what's it going to do to your children, it's really not. And actually, the organic ones typically sometimes actually I find last longer because they're better well made.
got it. Okay,
So
so natural
that-
towels. Let's go since, and I know you probably want to talk about microplastics, and one of the biggest problems from microplastics come from our toothbrushes, right?
yeah, they come from our toothbrushes, but actually all our toothbrushes, a lot of the beauty products we put on our skin, all of that stuff, microplastics are in all of it. So
What?
you want to, yeah, you want to avoid them. And the scary bit is right now, I read a study recently that showed that babies are being born with microplastics in their blood. They're
Okay,
just thinking like they haven't even entered the world and they have microplastics in their blood
okay.
from the
That's crazy. But is there a certain suggestion you have when it comes to a toothbrush? Should we just be using a leaf, go outside and use a leaf or something like that with, I don't know, a piece of coal? What do you do? How do you make sure? I mean, you obviously have great teeth. What do you do to make sure it's healthy when you brush your teeth?
I just try and find so when you look and you look at I just find you find toothbrushes that aren't made from plastic. So you can get the bamboo ones, you can get different ones. You got to also be careful sometimes when they say sustainable, because often I think people think that something is healthy if it's eco and sustainable, which sometimes they are, but sometimes they are not. So have a look. If something says sustainable eco, it might just be recycle fishing nets, which is plastic. You don't want that.
Okay. So we hit cleaning, towels, toothbrushes. Last one, toilet paper. Just tissues. What I know, I knew you were gonna roll your eyes on that. Tell us about what is the real world when it comes to tissue across the board.
So, firstly, if you think about it, nothing is at level of white. So, because it's white, it's been bleached, which means it's had some kind of chemical processing happening to it. And we're then using it on our most delicate areas in our body, and that's just being absorbed. So, I don't know who came up and thought this was a brilliant idea, but it's a not. And if you think about it, if you go to Europe, if you go to Asia, they use water, and it makes sense.
I
Uh,
agree.
I mean, there's someone said to me once when I was, and they were like, why would you use water? And he goes, when you're walking along the street and if a bird has an accident on you, shits on you, yeah, what do you use? You just use a dry towel? No. So there is a health component to it from one because of the chemicals and the toxins, but there's also one from a hygiene perspective as well, I think. But you can also get non-bleached, you can get better toilet paper. It's just about looking into it and doing research and seeing.
And
Ex-
and tissues for your nose and all that same thing.
It's the same thing, right? And you think we're bringing it in, we're using it to wipe our hands, we're using it to blow our mouths. We might, you might decide you might be one of those weird people that chews their tissues. So you don't-
Really?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I know I have a friend of mine who had a really weird pregnancy craving and she would like to choose tissues. It was really
That's
weird.
that's an interesting friend. So if people want to get a tour of your bathroom, how do they connect to you to make sure they could have the Shreya tour of your bathroom, which has to be the best bathroom in the world? How do they connect with you? It's the best way. Do you have a Substack?
I have a Substack, so have a look at Vibrant Living Lab, and that's the best way. And I try to dive deep into lots of different things there.
Shreya, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.